What's good, YouTube? We gonna talk about Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder in the Nets pick today. And the only reason why we gonna talk about that is because a lot of people are predicting that the Cavaliers will lose to the Warriors in less than 6 games, which means they're gonna lose in five. They might even get swept. But we're going to talk about the future of the Cavs. And I think that's an important thing because LeBron said in a post game interview that he wasn't leaving Cleveland. Obviously, if he wants to win a championship, they're getting further and further behind compared to the Warriors, who is becoming even better every year. And then they added more depth to that bench. Plus KD and Steph, there's probably two of the best players to ever play together because they can shoot. They so hard to stop. But let's just talk about that. About Isaiah Thomas first. Isaiah Thomas is in a contract year. Like I said, when they made the trade, Kyrie Irving was locked down to a longer term. Isaiah Thomas was able to carry the Boston Celtics to the number one team in the East. He was able to average almost 30 points a game. Sometimes he carried them in the fourth quarter. He took a lot of shots. He made a lot of shots. And he went from being off the bench from Boston to being a starting point guard and having his first All Star and All NBA season in his career, even helping them get to the Eastern Conference Finals where they would lose to the Cavs. It show you how good of a player, how great of a player Isaiah Thomas is, and how he actually is one of the best scorers in the league. Not just based off points per game, but he can shoot the three, he can score off the dribble, he can get to the paint, he can shoot free throws, and he has some smart little weapons in his repertoire that we all know, like the pump fake and the Smitty when he bounced the ball and blows past. You guys on little tricks. When all those failed, he got his bread and butter to find a way to score and make his job a lot easier if he got a tougher defender on him. But he's virtually unguardable. The other part of this trade was everybody was talking about Jay Crowder. The Cavaliers got Jay Crowder. They needed Jay Crowder. He's the missing piece. A lot of people ain't talking about him. Jay Crowder's having an average year at best. He's not shooting a three as well as he did in Boston. He's not getting as many minutes to make a big contribution on this team. Another thing you got to consider is they have J.R. Smith at that shooting guard position. They also have LeBron at the forward position. That's not even including Jeff Green, who's also on the team that plays the same position. You still have Kyle Korver that can play shooting guard minutes, and Iman Shumpert is injured, and he's gonna take up another one of those guard spots. And he's actually technically their best defender on the team until they got Jay Crowder, either individual, I should say, because LeBron has signs that he's a good defender, but he hasn't been as good as he was early in the mid. With the early 2010, like 2010, 2011, 2012, LeBron was at the peak of his defensive career. To me, obviously, you can disagree if you want to, but Jay Crowder to me has been nothing but a disappointment. And on top of that, they're not really even utilizing him that much because he's only averaging 8 points a game and he's only averaging around 25 minutes a game, which is low compared to averaging 30 plus minutes a game in Boston. And on top of that, he's shooting bad from the field, 39% and 30% from three. And he's only giving you 8 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. He's definitely not the piece that they thought he would be. He's not fitting in as well as they thought. He plays well off LeBron every once in a while, but sometimes he can get stopped. You can look at him and see that he can ball watch a couple times in the game. He doesn't move around the perimeter as much. He just stays in one area and sometimes just watches the game, and he doesn't even seem active as he was in Boston. He seems more stagnated and it seems more comfortable in Cleveland. He's not really striving. He's not really moving. He's not really trying to, be involved in the offense. It seems like he's just watching it instead of trying to be a part of the offense. So another thing, they don't really run a lot of plays with Jay Crowder. They basically use him as a spot up 3 point shooter. If he's open, LeBron passes it to him. Even if he's in a post, he looks for Jay Crowder. If he gets to the rim, he looks to kick out to Jay Crowder. Other than that, Jay Crowder has been virtually useless. And the fact that, if they get a steal or a block, he runs in transition. Other than that, Jay Crowder has been a disappointment. And the thing about it is they could end up with nothing out of this trade. because if they don't want to give Isaiah Thomas the extension, that's the best player that they got in the trade was Isaiah Thomas, and then you have to pay him over $100 million to keep him because the guy can play and he's warrants the money. But do you really want to pay $100 million for a player that might not get you to the finals and might not help you win a championship anyway? Because everybody picking the Warriors to win the championship anyway. So, do you want to give a guy $100 million to keep coming up short against the Warriors, or do you want to find somebody else? And at the end of the day, Jay Crowder, before I go talk about the pick, Jay Crowder looks the same. Do you want to pay him $6 million? Yeah. And that's what the Celtics got him for. Now Jay Crowder is a coveted 3 and D guy. Somebody's gonna pay him the money because they're gonna need him. Do you really want to keep him if you Cleveland? He doesn't fit in the offense. He's not the defender that he used to be. To me, Jay Crowder has fell all the way off this year. He went from being a guy that's on a cheap contract that's underpaid to a guy that may be overpaid come the next couple years. Plus, another thing you got to consider is Isaiah Thomas is 28 years old. He's not getting any younger. Ain't like you signing a 23, 24-year-old to a 5-year contract. Since he played for the Cavaliers this season, he's going to be eligible for a 5-year extension compared to the 4-year another team can give him. And then you have to be honest with yourself. Do you really want to pay a 28, 29-year-old 5 years, $100 million, and he's a defensive liability? Plus, you don't even know if you can beat the Warriors with this roster. And then, if you don't want to pay Isaiah Thomas, you lose the best player in the trade that you got back from Kyrie. Not only that, you might not even keep Jay Crowder, who you're going to have to pay more than $6 million to be a role player at best. And he hasn't been the defender that he was in Boston, nor has he been the offensive player. Plus, to me, he just don't fit. Like I said, he don't even look right off in the offense, and he hasn't been trying as hard in the defensive end. The pick is another thing. Do you want to keep LeBron? Do you want to give LeBron anything that he wants? Do you want to trade your future away to keep LeBron on the roster? Obviously, you still have Kevin Love too. But if LeBron chooses to leave, you still have that number one pick. Everybody say trade the pick for DeAndre Jordan, trade the pick for Anthony Davis. But if you can get an Anthony Davis, then I would trade the pick. I wouldn't be trading a number one pick for DeAndre Jordan, who's a role player at best. Is he an upgrade over Tristan Thompson? Somewhat. He's a better rebounder. Obviously, he's a better role player. And, I think Tristan Thompson is more versatile defensively because he can switch and he can hang in there with point guards. DeAndre, not so much, but he's more of a team defender. And, Tristan Thompson has been a solid defender, not a great defender. And I don't really think that DeAndre Jordan is an all NBA defensive center anyway. And like I said, if you trade Tristan Thompson in the pick, you're not really upgrading that much that warrants the trade. Now, if you're getting a guy like Anthony Davis, then I would trade that pick in whatever I can to get Anthony Davis. But if I want to get DeAndre Jordan, I'd rather have a number one top 10, number one pick than have DeAndre Jordan for a year because he's a free agent after this season and he can leave if he don't like playing in Cleveland. And then you get some more of nothing because you don't want to pay Isaiah Thomas. Jay Crowder hasn't been the player he wants to be, and then you trade the pick for DeAndre, and he can leave. And on top of that, LeBron can still leave. He can just remember they gave him Mo Williams, they gave him Antoine Jameson, they traded for Shaq, and he still left. So you can give LeBron anything that he wants. You can try to build the best team possible, and LeBron still left Cleveland. They gave him anything he wanted. They traded for the players that he wanted. Mo Williams became an All-Star. Antoine Jameson was still one of the better power forwards at that time. Shaq was on the washed up end, but he still was a solid starting center. And at the end of the day, he still left and went to Miami. And then he went to Miami and then he left them. So, do you want to continue to build around LeBron or do you want to start over with your number one pick or your top 10 pick, I should say, from the Nets? Or do you want to just keep the pick and try to, continue to try to find a way to build around LeBron, who hasn't committed long term to this team? And like I said, if you don't pay Jay Crowder or Isaiah Thomas, you just get a top 10 pick in return for Kyrie Irving, who's one of the best players in the league. And it's very rare that a pick pan out to be as good as Kyrie has been over these last couple years. And if you can't find nothing better than Kyrie, then you definitely lost the trade. A lot of people thought they lost the trade anyway. And then when we found out how damaged Isaiah Thomas' hip was, we definitely thought they lost the trade. But if they lose Isaiah Thomas and they can't get a franchise player in that draft or trade for one, then it's going to be, a tough trade for them a tough pill for them to swallow, losing Kyrie for basically nothing. At worst case scenario, you get a top 10 pick and you keep Jay Crowder, but like I said, he hasn't really fit on his roster. So even then, I don't think you'll be getting that good of a return for Kyrie, which now we starting to see. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think the Cavaliers lost the trade? Do you think they won the trade? Do you think I'm overthinking it? Do you think Isaiah Thomas can, rebound and help them get to the finals again? Do you think Jay Crowder, he has played mediocre the whole season offensively and defensively? Do you think he can turn it over and turn it around in the second half of the season and become a two-way 3-and-D player? Or do you think he's just going to continue to be a bad fit? And do you think that Isaiah Thomas and LeBron can play together? Isaiah Thomas is taking a lot of shots. You know, he's not moving the ball as much. Kevin Love numbers has fell, and he's not being utilized the way that he used to be when Isaiah Thomas was injured. That can cause problems too. And Isaiah Thomas is not really known as a passer; he's known as a scorer. So let me know what you guys think. If you like the video, like. If you are new to the channel, subscribe. My Facebook and my website will be in the comment in the description below. Click the link and send you to my website. Click the link, it'll send you to my Facebook page, and I'm gone. Let me know what you guys think about Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder in the Nets pick for Kyrie.